Coming up next on Technow, how to charge your devices, no plug required. Tech companies in an IPO stampede as big money comes back to Silicon Valley. Take a test run with the most fashionable app on the market and meet the next round of high-tech engineers at a nationwide robotics tournament. From the Tech Museum of Innovation in the heart of Silicon Valley, I'm Scott Budman. This is Technow. Thanks for watching. The future of Silicon Valley is bright. We know this because we were recently at a robotics competition. High school students building and competing with robots in front of fans, classmates, and technology companies.
And we start the match.
Oh, let's go.
They're the next generation of Silicon Valley engineers. High school students competing with robots.
Suck him in, bud, suck him in.
Robots they built themselves.
1351 lining up.
It's all part of the first robotic competition.
And let's see if it spits out balls. 1 second.
Where students like Matt Plant of Palo Alto High School design and test robots backstage.
Okay, that worked too well.
To compete on the main stage.
That's 2 points on the Red Alliance.
And prepare for the future.
I think for a lot of people it will. For me, it definitely, I've already been on this path since I got into high school. I'm going to major in computer science for sure.
It looks like basketball.
I've always been really into making things with my hands.
It's really practice for a career in tech.
And we entered the competition, and we're like, you have 6 weeks to build a robot. That's so much time. 6 whole weeks. And then you get to the 5th week, and you're like, dude, we don't have any more time left.
Dealing with deadlines, dealing with, things that don't always work out, the troubleshooting, the problem solving. I think that's such a valuable learning experience that to take that with them into college, into their careers, it's so important. It's very real world.
3, 2, 1. That's the match.
We both want to do something like this in the future. We want to be the people who make things for the next generation.
The first robotics competition is an annual event. The finals are held in St. Louis. We Americans spend billions of dollars on clothing each year, and much of it goes unused. Now, a Silicon Valley company has an app that turns your used clothing into cash. Here's Technow's Chris Sanchez.
Sometimes someone's style makes you want to raid their closet. A Menlo Park-based startup lets you do that right from your smartphone. Poshmark is an online consignment store where fashionistas can buy and sell clothing and accessories in all styles, sizes, and prices. If you're thinking, I can already do that, here's how Poshmark is different.
All the painful part of actually buying and selling on eBay or Craigslist are gone. So we take care of shipping, we take care of credit card processing, we take care of returns, first-line customer service.
Let's say I'm tired of this pretty pink sweater in my closet. Hang it up, take it out, take a picture, write a quick description, and within minutes it's posted on a site where people are looking for style just like mine.
I got this for $8 through the app.
Tracy Ho has sold more than 30 items.
So this was the purse that I bought with my earnings from Poshmark.
Enough to buy a $1,500 purse, and more than 1,100 women follow her for style inspiration, which she says is nice since she works in gaming, surrounded by guys in t-shirts and sneakers.
It's just the community aspect makes it really fun too. It feels really great when you post a picture and people are like, oh my God, I love your photo, or that outfit looks great. And I think it's also a great sort of social validation.
Poshmark takes a 20% commission on every sale, but for its users, that cut is worth finding new owners for the cute in their closet they no longer want, but which still has value. Somebody can pull this off.
Somebody can pull this off, and somebody is going to love this.
In just 3 months, Poshmark's grown from $10,000 in postings to more than $200,000.
I was really happy when the person actually messaged me back, and she's like, oh my God, I love it. I'm already wearing it. And I was just like, oh, that's so awesome. I felt like I made a love connection.
Just what the Poshmark founders were going for.
Thanks, Chris. Speaking of apps, this next one made national news recently thanks to a comment made by an aide to Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney. Everything changes, he says, like an Etch-a-Sketch, giving a toy and an app new life.
He said it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. It's
become the political symbol of the season.
You can't have a child's toy for the president.
The Etch-a-Sketch. A toy invented nearly 60 years ago, making a huge comeback because of a political comment, both in the real world
and we can use the knobs just
and the virtual world. Yes, there's an app for that too.
Triple the numbers from the day before.
Craig Holland sells the Etch-a-Sketch app.
The numbers are looking really strong today too.
His company, Freeze Tag, has seen downloads spike as people rediscover the Etch-a-Sketch in a digital way.
We have to admit, I had no idea it was going to blow up like it did, and it got so much press during the day, and we could see our numbers increase, and it was actually a wonderful blessing.
With a boost from technology, this Etch-a-Sketch lets you create by touch with paintbrushes and in color. You can even play games that date back to the creation of the Etch-a-Sketch, a blend of the new school and the old school.
I think retro is in. There's a lot of things that people like today that were popular in the 60s and 70s, and it's kind of like my clothes in the closet. I can bring them out, and here they're popular again.
I carry one of those around now.
Popular again, like the Etch-a-Sketch itself. Meanwhile, we don't go anywhere without our mobile phones and tablets, but these devices use an awful lot of electricity, and we have to plug them in all the time. Now, a way to go unplugged, and it comes from Silicon Valley. We love our mobile devices, largely because they're wireless. Our data is wireless, our photos are wireless, our games are even wireless. But power? That's still something we have to plug into. And as our mobile devices get more powerful, we have to plug in all the time.
Most of us are tired of carrying around these handfuls of cords and scrambling for the last available outlet at the airport, sitting on the floor charging up our phones.
So IDT, a San Jose-based chip maker, has a solution. They've put their chips inside these chargers that let you drop your phone on top and charge up much faster than your plug.
The idea would be that these coils or charging surfaces would be built into public areas, waiting rooms, fast food restaurants, hotels, that sort of thing.
For now, you need a charger on one end and a connector on your phone, which will charge you up quickly, but soon you'll be able to just drop it and charge it.
But what we think is really going to drive mass adoption of this market is ubiquitous pads that will be deployed in furniture, stadiums, cars, coffee shops, airports, and that's really going to drive the uptake of these devices.
You won't even see the chargers, but they'll be there waiting to give you a jolt. Along with mobile devices, the tech industry loves IPOs, and they keep coming. Here's a rare look inside a company as it makes its employees wealthy. It's a rare inside look at a Silicon Valley IPO as executives of San Jose-based Vocera rang the opening bell on Wall Street. Employees cheered and watched CNBC from headquarters.
When I first started working here, there was 12 of us in a little 2,100 square foot office in Cupertino. So to go from that to this is amazing. It's just amazing to see it happen.
Today was a big day for the company. It's been a long time in coming. A lot of people have spent a lot of time and effort in making this happen. We went public today.
Vocera, which makes mobile communication devices for the healthcare industry, popped out of the gate, jumping more than 40% at the open. It, along with Annie's Foods of Berkeley, had huge stock debuts, making it a day where, for employees, the food and drinks just tasted better with extra money in their bank accounts.
I came in like a year after Sandy came in, and we didn't even have a product. They just said this thing is going to do this and that, and next thing you know, it's working, it's doing it.
Working for customers and for investors. The opening day numbers, Vocera up 32%, Annie's Foods up 89%. How about this for a modern-day Tom Sawyer? A team of Facebook workers opened several gallons of paint and a few pints of beer to turn part of the roof of their Menlo Park headquarters into a massive, scannable QR code. CEO Mark Zuckerberg recently encouraged his team members to make the new office their own. So, during a Facebook hackathon, a few dozen employees painted the 42-foot code that can be scanned from the sky. We tested it with a smartphone. The QR code leads to a Facebook-created website.
It's exciting, to move into a new city.
Here's a story about some Stanford-bred technology helping out a Stanford-bred athlete. You're looking at Andrew Luck, first-round draft choice going from Stanford to the Indianapolis Colts. And thanks to Google Plus's Hangouts, he's able to meet Colt fans right after the draft.
So excited, man. It's a lot of fun. It's an unbelievable experience. But I think even more than being, first draft pick, it's, the fact that I'm an Indianapolis Colt. That's what really excites me.
Speaking of Google technology, this is a prototype of what Google calls Google Glasses. Not goggles. These are actually glasses you wear on your face that give you a view of what you might see in a web browser. So you can check out tweets and Facebook and do searches all while wearing glasses and walking around. It'll be interesting to see if this makes the world more social or less social. If you've ever felt like airport screeners treat you unfairly, there's now an app for that. A Sikh advocacy group has launched, along with the TSA, a free app that lets any traveler send a complaint instantly to the government. They call it Fly Rights, and you can access it from your iPhone. You can find our interviews along with other video and comments on the Technow Facebook page. Just search Technow TV on Facebook.
Stay with us after the break. A new steamy reason to get yourself an e-reader and why more women are leading more companies in the tech world.
Welcome back. E-readers are handy and convenient, but sexy? Maybe so. Here's Technow's Gene Ellie on how technology is giving certain books a boost.
Ever wonder what women are so interested in on their computer or Kindle?
It was probably, in a way, a little embarrassing. And it made me uncomfortable a little bit, but I read it again.
Like a growing number of women, Rebecca Ward reads Romantica, romance novels loaded with sex.
We have just as, I guess, naughty feelings as men do.
Cleus Press in Berkeley has been publishing erotica since the 1980s.
Gay erotica, and then lots and lots of erotica for heterosexual women and for couples, and theme erotica like bondage erotica and romance erotica.
Business has always been good, but since the Kindle and the iPad hit the market, electronic book sales are jumping.
We need to get all of our books up online. So we had 30% sales growth. And actually right now, digital books are 40% of our business.
Women who aren't comfortable buying books like Best Bondage Erotica at the bookstore are doing it anonymously. And with no cover on an e-reader, no one knows you just can't put down a sexual fantasy. One of Amazon's bestsellers is 50 Shades of Grey, a sex and bondage novel written by a mother of two.
It can be very sexy.
That's not a surprise at Cleus.
We publish, I'd say, 10 new bondage books a year, bondage erotica. We know it's always popular, and we also know it's growing in popularity.
Not everyone is happy about the rising interest in women's erotica. It's triggering a battle of the sexes online. Some men are blaming erotica for causing unrealistic expectations, leading to divorce. But readers say steamy novels can spice up a marriage.
Occasionally, my husband and I share things like that together, and it's fun.
With books flying off the virtual bookshelf, publishers at Cleus believe more women than ever are having fun, maybe even learning a little something along the way.
Thanks, Gene. The headlines have long been dominated by men, but Silicon Valley companies are increasingly seeing women in charge. If you're looking at a career in the tech industry, Technow Cheryl Hurd talks to some experts for advice.
Meg Whitman
Carly Fiorina, Sheryl Sandberg are just some of the notable tech titans in Silicon Valley. But when it comes to boardrooms, women have only a few seats at the table.
I work with teams who build features on Facebook.
Now, Jocelyn Goldfein is a part of an elite class of tech engineers.
I'm part of the management team in engineering.
And she is a part of an elite class of technology engineers.
I think that, when girls look in the room and they see a lot of guys and not too many women, they think, oh, that room must not be for me.
Jocelyn Goldfein is a software designer and director of engineering at Facebook.
The only thing I don't love about my job is that sometimes I'm the only woman in the room. And if there were a few more women in the room, this would be the best job on the planet.
Goldfein loves her job, but she says there is a real lack of women in management positions in Silicon Valley.
Women have built more of Facebook at this point than Mark Zuckerberg has in terms of actual lines of code. I don't know how many of those users realize that when they click on a photo and it pops up in the photo viewer, that photo viewer was built by a woman.
But when it comes to women holding high-tech jobs, women are not going after them. The Anita Borg Institute published a study that shows women make up to 48% of the entire workforce. But when it comes to science, tech, engineering, and math-related jobs, women hold only 24% of those jobs. Dr. Denise Grammel worked on the research behind the study.
The industry has been developed around some of the male social networks. People tend to hire and work with and build companies with people that are just like them.
So she says the good old boy network is very much alive and fading slowly.
Women need to learn to share their accomplishments and toot their horns a bit more, that they don't always put themselves forward for promotions and just sometimes approach things in a different way.
Because maybe they don't believe in themselves that they can do it. And I think that you've just got to hold your breath and leap and try it.
Goldfein isn't alone at the top at Facebook. The company's number 2 is Sheryl Sandberg. She is the chief operating officer at Facebook, helping pave the way for others to follow.
Thanks, Sheryl. Before her job at Facebook, Jocelyn Goldfein was VP of the desktop group at VMware.
Coming up, a way to cool a server by flushing a toilet, and an app that targets new ways to make your healthcare coverage easier to understand.
Welcome back. As we connect more with our devices, technology companies that make and power those devices have to use more data centers, and they take a lot of energy. Katie Fehrenbacher of GigaOhm is joining us to talk about some creative ways of powering those data centers. I should also say, I guess, some green ways of powering the data center.
Exactly.
So what's going on that's different from just, sucking energy off the grid?
Right, so Google in particular is being really creative about new ways for cleaner power and also more energy efficient data centers. So for example, there's this one in Georgia that they're using recycled wastewater to cool the data center.
Now, I read your article on GigaOhm, and you said basically if you flush a toilet in that area, you're helping to cool. So is it really using anything that's out there? Okay.
Yeah, so like the utility is already recycling some of this wastewater, and what Google did is they started working with the utility and they built this plant that siphons off about 30% of the wastewater and uses it to cool the data center. And then whatever water isn't completely evaporated in that cooling process, it cleans it and then sends it back to the local river.
It's pretty creative. And we were reading recently about Apple doing something kind of creative in North Carolina?
Exactly.
Okay.
So Apple is kind of leading the way, and they're building this massive data center. And then next to the data center, they're building this huge 20 megawatt solar plant, and they're also building a very large fuel cell plant. So these cleaner forms of power will provide a small portion of Apple's total energy footprint for this data center.
And it's interesting because you cover this stuff really closely. Fuel cells are not really all that prevalent, so Apple is sort of guessing on how they may power these things in the future.
Yeah, this is a really new technology. I think it's coming from Bloom Energy, which is a Valley company. They haven't confirmed that, but that's a company that's, it's pretty young. It's a startup. It's backed by venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, and they created this technology that uses natural gas or biogas to basically create electricity. Apple likes it because it's going to be powering 24/7 the data center, but unlike solar, where solar only powers during the day and not at night. But it's only going to be a very small portion of the overall electricity use of the data center.
But the more iPods and iPads and iPhones we use, Apple's going to need more in that data center and eventually more ways to power it.
Exactly.
All right. Katie Fehrenbacher, thanks for stopping by from GigaOhm. Stay with us. Technow will be right back. Finally this week, Washington debates healthcare. Silicon Valley wants to make it easier with new software and apps to help you and your company navigate through the fog of healthcare while saving money. With the healthcare debate raging in Washington,
and so we have some content around that.
A room full of engineers are working in the Bay Area to make healthcare more simple, regardless of your political party.
In a nutshell, we are looking to provide cost and quality data for healthcare.
Castlight Health is a San Francisco startup that wants to help you make a more informed decision about your health care. With healthcare costs rising by 8 to 9% a year, both employers and employees are struggling. Now there's a piece of software and a mobile app for just that.
What both sides of the aisle can agree on is that healthcare transparency on price and quality is a really good thing, and that the more we can provide it to companies and their employees, the better off our healthcare system is going to be.
By helping you search, compare, and save money, companies like Castlight and New York-based ZocDoc are mixing technology with healthcare, bringing in tens of millions of dollars in venture funding and hiring like crazy. It's a good place to be, working to solve a huge problem across the nation for people in every economic category.
Because if you can save $1,000 on your healthcare costs during the course of a year, that's $1,000 that you have to spend on education or any other thing that you need to invest in.
For now, the tech world is investing in ways to fix healthcare, and that's good business. And if you're interested, Castlight Health is hiring. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of Tech Now. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you back here again for our next show.